In the closing days of 1918, Germany laid down its arms. Their forces hadn't crumbled and combat soldiers still held ground in enemy lands. The ranks unbroken, ready to press on for seasons or eras yet. What broke them? A silent killer. Nearly 1 million citizens wasted away from famine. Not shattered by shells or gunfire, but strangled by a relentless sea barrier from Britain that severed ties to worldwide commerce, methodically draining life from the masses until defeat was inevitable. This marked a pivotal shift in warfare's shadow. A dominant nation toppled not chiefly by arms, but through the vice of commerce. The UK wielded ledgers, trade barriers, exclusion rosters, and ocean patrols like a sharpened blade. They forged the world's marketplace into an arsenal. That approach echoes in every trade restriction we see now. The global payment networks that exile nations from money flows? It's that old exclusion tactic upgraded with digital layers. Penalties on places like Russia, Iran, Venezuela, or North Korea. Picture that sea clampdown swapped for reforms over fleets. Those intense pressure tactics that grind down ordinary folks to topple rulers? Precisely the playbook Britain ran against Germany. It claimed 800,000 lives, largely among the vulnerable, mothers, young ones, and the aged. And this hits home for you in 2025. The Commerce Combat Framework born in the Great War has morphed into today's chief battle tool. You're woven into its fabric. When America isolates a regime, your market options narrow. When payment gates slam shut on a state, your expenses twist. When commerce clashes intensify, your daily bills surge. The machinery crafted to famish Germany over a century back is the very one shaping if you can cover food, fuel, or shelter costs today. Over these next 25 minutes, I'll reveal how Britain armed the planet's trade in the First World War, how their commerce siege outdid battlefield losses in German casualties, and how it laid the groundwork for current trade bans. Bans that have erased millions worldwide, and why evasion isn't an option. Each cross-border deal you touch runs through channels built for commerce combat. This isn't dusty lore, it's the birth tale of the monetary grip encasing your existence, where cash becomes a strike, exchanges a front line, and everyday people the bullseyes. Let me unveil what that global clash truly entailed, because schoolroom tailies fall short. You heard of dug-in lines, toxic clouds, rapid-fire arms, and troop clashes. Accurate, yet partial. The decisive struggle, the one sealing fates, was over wealth flows. A contest of supplies, factory might, and entry to international hubs. Victory fell to Britain not amid French soil pits, but in London's money vaults and across ocean routes. Leaders envisioned rapid rallies, sharp showdowns, tipping scales swiftly. Yet by winter's end in 1914, stalemate gripped. The West locked in earthen scars stretching from alpine borders to coastal waves. Both camps grasped. Triumph hinged not on maneuvers or valor, but endurance in mechanized strife. The side with superior alloys, fuels, provisions, and loans would prevail. Britain held a colossal edge Germany lacked, the world's premier fleet. Over 300 heavy vessels, commanding Europe's waters utterly. Germany's flotilla, though formidable, stayed bottled in northern tides. Britain's armada could clamp a full seal. On November's second day in 1914, mere months into the fray, Britain labeled those northern expanses a combat zone. Any vessel bound for or from German harbors faced halt, scrutiny, and capture if laden with war-boosting cargo. Thus dawned the famine grip, the trade blade that felled 800,000 innocents. Sea barriers weren't novel fleets, had choked rival docks for ages, but Britain's sweep and thoroughness shattered precedents. They sealed off not just arms, but all lifelines, sustenance, remedies, soil boosters, base stocks, whatever propped Germany's fighters and families. The clamp tightened via Earth's layout. Germany's ocean paths were scant, funneled through northern straits Britain dominated from island strongholds. Every inbound craft navigated choke points under ceaseless watch. If you sailed neutral colors from Scandinavian shores or lowlands and aimed for German deals, Britain's domain awaited. They'd swarm aboard, probe holds, and if items matched forbiddance rolls, they'd claim them. Initially, bans hit clear war gear, arms, rounds, blasts, gear, but soon the net widened to engulf nearly all. By the following year, it snared edibles, crop aids, ores, compounds, elastics, fibers, hides, everything. Britain decreed any economic pillar as off-limits, including meals. Halting nourishment to non-fighters breached global pacts. A pre-war accord from 1909 shielded edibles. Britain shrugged it off, claiming in all-out conflict, no line divides soldier from supporter. Nourished workers forged tools of death. Boosted fields yield harvests for troops. All fuels the machine, so all must halt. Here sprouted full-spectrum trade assault, viewing communities as fair game for backing armies, and it crushed with ruthless force. By mid-decade, Germany's larders thinned. Pre-conflict, they hauled in a quarter of their staples: cereals, proteins, lipids. The barriers flashed that to zero. At outset, they ramped home yields, portioned shares, regeared for independence, but gaps loomed. The snag? Crop enhancers. Factory farming craved nitrogen boosts, drawn from distant salts. The seal severed supplies. Without them, harvests plunged by thirds or halves. Germany innovated synthetic fixes, pulling air's essence to craft aids. It sustained blasts for prolonged fights, but output split thin between booms and blooms. They prioritized destruction. The barriers grim bind, arm the front or sustain the home. They armed, and homes hollowed. By 1916, scarcities bit deep. The next year, calamity struck. That season's chill earned the name root famine, as lowly tubers beast fodder-fed multitudes. Loaves dulled to mere handfuls daily, flesh a ghost. Creams, milks, ovals vanished from shelves. Folks turned to mocks, brews from nuts, links from timber scraps, loaves from tuber dust and husks. Undernourishment ravaged. Youngsters stalled in stature. Newborn losses soared. Ailments once mild turned fatal in weakened frames. By war's close, wards overflowed with youths fading from hunger's tolls. And the seal lingered past peace. Often overlooked, armistice inked that November day in 1918 halted shots. Yet the vice held for months more, until the forced accord mid-1919. In that quiet span, tens of thousands more perished from want. Why persist? Leverage. Accept our demands wholesale, or we prolong the torment. No alternatives left, they yielded. Total tally, around 800,000 non-combatants gone, chiefly the frail since fighters drew shares. This wasn't mishap, it was doctrine, erode resolve by emptying bellies. Now, explore the monetary flank, as seawalls formed just part of Britain's trade onslaught. The rest? Fiscal exile. Pre-clash, wealth circled on metal backing and island coin. London's hubs steered planetary deals, mostly through their vaults and notes. Hostilities ignited, Britain sharpened this sway. They birthed exclusion ledgers rosters of firms and faces in unaffiliated lands suspected of German links. Listed? Island enterprises barred ties, banks withheld funds. Cover providers shunned vessels, ejected from the core system. And with Britain steering most worldly wealth, exclusion meant global banishment. Enforcement was ironclad. Hauled to Germany under neutral flag, listed. No coverage from dominant providers. Unprotected, operations halted. Britain leaned on unaligned states too. Curb German swaps or lose our fuels, funds, fleets. Most bent, reliant on island flows over others. Germany floated adrift, unable to purchase abroad despite reserves no sellers dared. No transit, no backing, no safeguards, utter solitude. The brilliance? It skirted codes. Barring neutral docks broke norms, but snubbing business didn't. Framed as choice, though decreed, it masked intent. This seeded today's penalty frameworks, barring entities from circuits via forbidden tallies. America mirrors with Treasury watch lists. Europe follows suit, that vintage exclusion, now digitized. On the secret history of currencies, we peel back these layers, stay tuned for more revelations. Now, Germany's riposte forged the flip side of trade battles, boundless undersea strikes. Choked economically, they countered with submerged hunters. Britain leaned on vast inflows of edibles and basics, islands unable to self-nourish. From distant shores came necessities. Disrupt enough carriers, and Britain would wither as Germany did. Early 1915, they zoned island surrounds as peril, vowing silent sinkings. Tit for tat. If Britain famishes our innocence, we'll drown yours. But blind assaults on trade vessels defied pacts. Hunters should emerge, alert, evacuate, then strike. Risky for fragile crafts, so no mercy adopted. It nearly triumphed. Peak times saw hundreds of thousands in tonnage vanished monthly. Britain teetered on emptiness. Yet, the ploy backfired fatally. It drew in the New World. Mid-1915, a sub claimed a grand liner. Over 1,000 lost, scores from across the sea. Fury boiled. Leaders cautioned. Pauses ensued to dodge escalation. But desperation reignited the hunt in 1917. Spring that year, war declarations followed. Fresh mite factories, stocks, wealth-bolstered foes. Doom sealed, though drags lingered. By late 1918, with masses gaunt, systems shattered, forces drained, capitulation came. Trace the thread from that era's trade tactics to present penalties. The 1914 to 1918 mold shapes our reality. Post-clash, power saw trade strikes outpaced arms. Thriftier, safer, goals met sans troop tolls. Codified. Early peace leagues tried bans on aggressors, like frontier incursions, but spotty buy-in doomed them. Still, it set norms. Post-second clash, global bodies empowered trade clamps. Leading alliances made them policy staples. Frozen states, resource boycotts, racial regime pressures, desert war aftermaths. Then Fuller webs on nuclear pursuits, territorial grabs, resource controls, and more. The drill: pinpoint foe, sever money links, ban dealings with marked ones, lock holdings, deny covers and transits, await breakdown till shifts occur. Vintage script, unaltered. See it play. One land faced full clamps in 2012 over atomic aims. Banks exiled from flows, fuel sales halted the lifeblood. Holdings trapped, countless tagged. Economy shrank sharply, value evaporated, swells in costs, job voids, remedy gaps claimed lives. Masses bore brunt, pursuits persisted like the old siege. Another, post-territory snatch in 2014, finance walls rose, tech flows dammed, elites' wealth iced. Amplified post-intrusion, near-total exile, vast reserves claimed, swaps barred. Initial dips, then pivots to Eastern ties. Yet, back home, fuel bills ballooned, factories fled. Rulers endure, conflicts rage. Aims missed, but splits widen like historic divides. A third, starting mid-decade to oust leaders, assets seized, fuel deals nixed, figures marked. Collapse ensued. Value vaporized, exiles surged, thousands fallen to linked woes. Power clings. Echoes, elites unscathed, crowds crushed. On the secret history of currencies, we connect these dots to hidden forces shaping your wallet. Why no flight from this web? Many assume clamps hit only the aimed. False. They ripple to you. How? One disruption in 2022 skewed energy realms. That source's shares vanished from streams. Scarcity drove spikes, you shelled out peaks for fuel, from global pinches, not local lacks. Similar for other oil realms. Curbs tighten flows, costs climb, your tab grows. Next, web splinter efficiency. Once, sources global, chains lean. Now, dodge marked zones, chase pricier path bills to you. Like old cheap inputs swapped for dearer, inflating goods you buy. Then, value swells via money shifts. Seizing stores warns all. Holdings risky. Diversified to metals, rivals notes demand dips, worth drops, imports dearer. You foot rises in basics. Recent freezes hasten this, eroding your buying edge. Plus, public purses fund. Aids offset allies hits you tax for it, then pay inflated tags twice. The unseen toll, lives lost. Vintage sieges count pales to now. Desert clamps through eras tallied 500,000 extras, young chiefly. Care denials doubled ends. Rulers stayed, invasions shifted. Frozen North's barriers fueled starvations, hundreds of thousands gone. Regimes advance arms. Southern oil land, tens of thousands excess, lacks in essentials. Atomic pursuits, remedy voids claim lives, programs push on. Blockaded zones, hundreds of thousands from want, not strikes mirroring origins. If ineffective, why persist? Stated, grind till bends. Reality, rare wins. Decades on islands, peninsulas, deserts powers hold. So motives? Home optics, appear firm, sans war's grief. Gains for some. Fuel firms thrive on rivals' voids. Control, enforce order, or exile. Yet, overuse speeds alternatives. Rival nets, local swaps, block coins, digital shifts. By decades close, old reigns may fade, curbs toothless, holds slip. Like victors of old, triumph short, foundations crack. Island realm prevailed but eroded within generations. Same trajectory now. To brace, spread holdings beyond one note mix metals, digits. Buffer for swells, save, trim O's. Grasp splits into camps, aligned west, eastern hubs, balancers, trade dual realms. Note, tools turn homeward protest funds ice lately. Guard against. In some, late 1918's yield stemmed from Britain's trade noose and money walls that withered 800,000 souls. Not accident design. Forces unbroken, but homes broken. This etched the sanctions stencil. Lists, locks, barriers from that era. Deployed endlessly, reaping millions sans goal hits. Yet endures for show, gains sway. No opt-out. Curbs hike your costs, erode values, fragment flows. The Great War's trade machine encases you, racing to unravel as overuse births rivals. Soon, old levers fail, structures tumble. If this exposed the monetary cage's roots, join the secret history of currencies now the coming peace maps. The beyond dollar era when trade weapons blunt and dominance dissolve. History cycle. Trade triumphs seal fights but shatter realms. Victors of yore faded. Today's path mirrors, window narrow. The vice that crushed multitudes birthed the grip on your days, and it's self-destructing. Step into trade combat's core, you're the arena.